What's going on, everyone? So the Milwaukee Bucks are absolutely washed. I mean, Damian Lillard and Giannis are two stars that just they can't seem to coexist, right? It's almost like they're two players almost on separate teams, but on the same team, if that makes sense, right? Like they instead of playing as a duo, playing in tandem, it's almost like they're trying to do two separate things at times. And on paper, this should be a dominant duo, right? You got an elite point guard that can go and put the ball in the hoop, right? Make some plays, just take over games down the stretch, take so much of the scoring pressure off of Giannis. Giannis being that big man that can basically do everything out there on the basketball court. Defensively, one of the few guys that can kind of make up for the lack of perimeter defense that Damian Lillard provides, right? That big little tandem we've seen over the history of the league. And I'm not saying that they should be running through everybody and winning 15 championships, but they should be a lot better than they are. And I wanted to make this video earlier, but then I noticed that, okay, they're playing the Boston Celtics. Like, let's see how they look in the Boston Celtics game, right? Tough game, tough matchup, tough opponent. Even if they lose, do they kind of piece themselves together? And no, it looked exactly how it's looked every game this season and last season. And this is the problem. Like Giannis and Dame, they don't hang out. They don't communicate. They don't talk, right? They're basically just guys on a roster rather than teammates. And you heard, oh, we didn't work out. We didn't do anything all offseason together. And it's like, people try to write it off as like, oh, they're fine. They'll figure. Well, now look, right? They looked terrible last year, and they were better when one was not playing, right? Like when Dame was on the court and not Giannis, he actually looked good along with the Bucks, right? Same thing with Giannis when Dame was on the court. But when they're on the court together, it's like they don't know how to operate. They haven't built any chemistry. I think they haven't built any type of relationship. And then on top of that, you got Tweedledee and Tweedledum on the bench just stinking up the joint. Like, look, I have made it very clear, I am not a fan of Doc Rivers. I don't know how this guy keeps getting jobs as a head coach. Like, the guy has done less with more than any coach I've ever seen, right? Usually they do more with less. But Doc Rivers, I mean, the only time he's ever had success was with a team that you and I could have coached and still won a championship, right? Like, they just needed him to give high fives and hand him water. That team was insane. And they only won one NBA championship. Everywhere else, this guy just stinks up the place. He makes no adjustments. He makes no changes. He just is kind of out there just to be out there and call timeouts. And then he went and got Darvin Ham, and we all saw how he coached with the Los Angeles Lakers and how poor he was. And look at what J.J. Redick, a real coach, is actually doing with the Lakers. And you look at the team like the Milwaukee Bucks, and it's like they're terrible. The coaching's bad. Their stars don't mix. They're an old team. It's something I talked about going into the season, and I didn't. I thought Milwaukee was on the list of teams that I thought would potentially miss the playoffs and be a play-in team. I said that, I wouldn't be shocked if they ended up being a play-in team. And so far, they're heading in that direction. Right? Like, I don't think Milwaukee is a good basketball team. I said that before the season began. And yes, I understand it's 4 games in, and Milwaukee fans are going to try to justify it and go, oh, it's only 4 games. Don't worry, they'll figure it out. And yeah, they'll probably be a 5th, 6th seed. Right? I said at best, I thought that they were the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference. You're talking about the Eastern Conference. Right? Like, you're talking about a team that has Giannis and Dame that I would be surprised if they are better than the 5th seed. Unless, some catastrophe happens and, one of these top teams end up falling apart or something, right? Like, I don't see, I think all things equal, I think the Milwaukee Bucks at best are the 5th best team in the Eastern Conference. I would take the Celtics over them, the Knicks over them. I would take Cleveland over them. And we'll see what the Sixers do if healthy. I would take the Sixers over them. If they're healthy, right? So at best, Milwaukee, I think, is the 5th best team. But I think that there's several other teams that you can make an argument for that I might even take over the Bucks. I mean, Miami, if Milwaukee plays Miami in the playoffs, I could see Miami eliminating them again. Damian Lillard didn't even want to be in Milwaukee, right? We heard reports last year that he just, he felt isolated. He was not in the mental state. He was not in shape and all that. Right? Because he wanted to be in Miami. He wanted to be a Heat. He wanted to go team up with Bam Adebayo. He didn't want to go to Milwaukee. And this is one of the risks that happen, particularly with an older star. You get somebody that's towards the end of their career, and they're not 26, 27, where it's like, they're trying to continue to build their legacy and stuff. You get this guy that doesn't want to be where he's headed and had a destination and made it very clear and very public where he wanted to go. And the Milwaukee Bucks thought, hey, which in their defense, they kind of didn't have a choice, right? Like, in their defense, if we're being honest, right? Like, Giannis was pressuring them hard to get out, right? Like, if you don't do something, I'm gone. And so they went and took the gamble and rolled the dice with Damian Lillard, but he didn't want to be there. And he plays at times like he doesn't want to be there. And on top of that, Giannis is already, again, putting pressure. He's over here talking about how, if we miss or if we, get eliminated early in the playoffs again, if we don't win a championship, Milwaukee might trade me. Milwaukee's not trading Giannis, right? Not unless he wants out, not unless he demands it. And the Golden State Warriors right now, they got to be licking their chops. Golden State Warriors got to be thrilled right now. If I'm Golden State, I'm saving every asset I have right now. I am doing nothing until the trade deadline and wait and see. Because if Milwaukee is like a play-in team and they're struggling and it's a disaster, I'm calling Milwaukee. I'm having Steph call Giannis and be like, hey, just talk to him for a moment, right? Like, and just whatever you got to do, and you go get Giannis. Because, Giannis, he wants to play with Steph, right? Like, Golden State wants him. He gets to go to get out of the smaller market. I mean, Golden State isn't looked at as this like huge market, but still it's bigger than Milwaukee, right? Like, and I think it's inevitable. I think this is the last stint you're seeing with this current team. And look, I said it. The biggest mistake they made was trading Drew Holiday instead of Chris Middleton for Dame. If you were going to go get Dame, you needed to keep Drew Holiday because you needed that guy that could be the point of attack. You needed that guy that could provide the relief and do the things and do the dirty work and actually be reliable, right? It's just, Milwaukee's old. Their problem was their age. They were old already, and you went and traded for an old aging star that has an injury history. It's just, it wasn't, I understand, again, the gamble Milwaukee had to take. They felt that they didn't have a choice because if they didn't do this, they were going to lose Dame, or they were going to lose Giannis. I get why Milwaukee did it. But just because you did it doesn't mean it was the right choice. We talked about it when they first did it. I was like, people were ready to write them off. Oh, they're going to be this, that, and the other. And I was like, hey, let's hold our horses here. All right, like, let's wait and see, because we've seen, that you put names on jerseys all on the same team. It doesn't always work out, right? Like, everyone has to be committed. Everyone has to be bought in. And these two do not seem committed. These two do not seem bought in to each other, right? And, I've seen people, like, try to, you look at Shaq and Kobe, right? Like, Shaq and Kobe had a good relationship to begin with, and then it became toxic over time, right? And then you saw the rift. But also, neither of these guys are Shaq or Kobe, right? Shaq is the most dominant big man we've ever seen and probably will ever see. And Kobe Bryant is one of the top 10 players ever. Like, Dame is nowhere near Kobe Bryant. He's nowhere near Shaq. Giannis is definitely, a top 20 player all time. But is he in Kobe's ranking? I don't believe so. Right? These guys are not Shaq and Kobe. Like, I've seen people like, these guys didn't have chemistry. These guys didn't have chemistry. There are always going to be outliers. There are always going to be things. But they also had Phil Jackson. Like, are we going to forget about that? So, again, you go back to the coaching. Doc Rivers is not Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson was known to be able to manage egos and make it work. The Zen master, right? Like, that's what they were able to do. But I don't know. Milwaukee's cooked. I have zero faith. Again, I wouldn't be shocked if they're a play-in team this year. I wouldn't be shocked if they're a team that is just, I think they're going to underachieve. I think they're going to be very disappointing. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with my points? Do you disagree with my points? Do you think, yeah, Milwaukee's cooked, they're done, put a fork in it? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you.